WKES news with a different perspective. Today we're covering Harvard University losing some federal funding. Antifa is back is it another second summer of love? I don't know. Let's talk about it. I think this will be fun. And then this CNN interview that I want to get into where CNN just gets roasted for this very what seems to be like a pro-drug cartel kind of inside journalistic interview. There's a lot to unpack there, and I want to do it respectfully, but also at the same time, it's hard for me not to be giddy and say I told you so. I told you so. When it comes to independent journalism being dead, I've had some people get really mad at me for that, but it's hard to have this kind of a moment where I'm like, I told you so. I told you so. So anyway, I'm going to try to be respectful and not be that guy, even though I just came across as being that guy. But we'll talk about having an open conversation. We got a live chat here, so I'm going to use you guys a lot for that. And then we're going to talk about the Ohio man who ran over a police officer after his son was shot and killed by police, and the public outcry, again, which is all leading to this whole second summer of love that's already kicked off in Washington. All this and more on today at FAWKS News. I will have joining me here shortly Jason Keefe from One More and I'm Out of Here podcast. And so we're going to be excited to have him. Today's show brought to you by ghostbed.com/Wolfpack. Now, hold on, Eric. You just spent the last 2 months telling us Ghostbed was going away. This was the end of Ghostbed. It is. I didn't lie to you. I did not lie to you. For those of you who are tuning in for the very first time, I have been podcasting full time for almost 6 years now, 5-6 years now. And even when I was on a big major network and then moving over, Ghostbed's always been with me. They have never, ever left my side. And they've always offered to first responders this 40 to 50% off site-wide deal. And it's been an awesome relationship. I've gotten to go down to Florida, all the way down to South Florida, almost Miami, Fort Lauderdale area, and visit their facility. I got to visit the manufacturing area. I got the research and development area, customer service area, where they test out the beds area. I got to lay on all the different beds, all the things. I got to take home a bunch of cool stuff with me. And so I've talked to the owner, met the owner and the owner's wife and his kids. And so it's just been a really great relationship. And so the Ghostbed contract was pretty much over this year at the beginning of the year. And then they were like, we're going to push it through May. But then at May, it's all, we're rebranding, we're redoing all of the marketing and how we do things. And so I just took it as I have no contract. You've kind of given me this warning. It's very polite and very respectful, but I have a feeling I'm going to lose you. I got it. Great. And I'll still always love Ghostbed. I'll probably never sleep on anything other than a Ghostbed. Even if I get sponsored by another bed company, I don't think I would ever sleep on anything other than a Ghostbed. I'm definitely not sleeping on any other pillow but a Ghostbed pillow. That is the most phenomenal pillow. I have the My Pillow for a while. Matter of fact, we just got another couple of My Pillows. I don't even know why, but anyway, once I had the Ghostbed pillow, my kids, nobody in my household will sleep on anything other than a Ghostbed. We travel with it. We take it to Airbnbs. Literally imagine, and these pillows are super thick and really tall and they weigh a lot. And when you're traveling with 7 people and 7 people want to take their pillows, it's actually kind of aggravating and annoying because now you're having to fit things on these long trips around all these pillows. But anyway, I digress. So they came back with an email and they said, here's the new ad read. Here's the new Ghostbed deal, 10% off, but we've lowered bed prices and we've released new bed products all across the website. So you can still go to ghostbed.com and now you can get 10% off, but check out all the new deals. If you're, I haven't even gone through and looked at them all yet because I got the massage topper. I've got the bed. I got the mattress. The only thing I don't have is an adjustable base, which is going to be my next purchase for my birthday, July 18th. I'll have the adjustable base. So anyway, head over to theghostbed.com and use the promo code Wolfpack and get your deals today. Also, today's show is brought to you by factormeals.com. Let me bring on Jason and let's go ahead and dive into some of today's news. Jason from One More and I'm Out of Here podcast, straight out of Cincinnati, Ohio. It's Captain Keefe.
What's up? Thanks for having me on again, buddy.
you've got the hat, you've got the jacket, you've got I mean, it's like you are so well branded. I need to take notes from you. I am not that branded. And you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy is you gave me a cup when I went on your show, a big mug. Drank out of it the other day. Never sure if I'm even supposed to drink out of that cup. Because you can't wash it. Like, you have to hand wash it. So I was thinking about you. I went for a walk with my wife and I had a one more and I'm out of here koozie. And hanging my wall on our hat wall in where our shoe rack is a one more and I'm out of here hat. It just happens to be center mass. And so my wife would be like, if somebody broke into our house, they would think that you run the One More and I'm Out of Here podcast.
Well, we're branding all the way from Cincinnati into North Carolina. I like it.
I mean, it works. I'm walking around my neighborhood like I've never worn anything to other stuff except maybe a t-shirt or two, but I'm always wearing your stuff. So
I appreciate you representing.
Oh, we love you guys. And we love that you join us every day. Ohio, let's go ahead and get into Ohio really quickly because you're in Ohio, you're in Cincinnati, Ohio, and the race war, which we have talked about on this show in great detail and not to be hyperbolic. And I'm not like regular traditional news where I want to create fear, but I want to show you where mainstream media is creating the fear. I think it's important to note that all of a sudden, and we said this was going to happen, Trump is now in office. It's the first summer going into the office, and it's the same playbook as when he was last in office. Already on the social media webs, they have been dying. They have been looking. The news has covered every single cop-related cop on black shooting possible since January 1, which is not that many because it's really not a problem. Like cops shooting black people is not the issue in America, but it's starting to ramp up and they're looking for that one story where they can go ahead and it's the fuel to the fire. I think they wanted it to be this story and they keep trying to make it this story. They keep it in the headlines and they keep it very racially motivated. And the reason I know it's racially motivated is because they pin all of the most audacious comments that are in support of the man running over a cop without the context. Now imagine, and you can vouch for me on this, imagine that this was reverse script and it wasn't the narrative that was, we have racism in America, such as a black teenager stabs a white teenager. All of a sudden, maybe we would all start rallying around the black kid who stabbed him because maybe he was bullied. Right. Maybe he was bullied. But when a cop kills a black man, automatically the cop is wrong. Like we're not even going to hope. Right.
Yeah. We're not even going to wait for all the evidence to come out. It's just boom right there. That's the answer.
What is it? What's it like right now in Ohio? Do you feel it or is this just the media trying to make me feel that way? Are the tensions a little bit higher than usual in Ohio?
I think, I think the tensions are high and a lot of it's because of the social media stuff aspect as well. But real quick backstory. So where that young man got shot is literally 20 minutes from my house.
Okay.
And then the police officer that got ran over and killed worked in the district where I live.
Oh.
And I know him, not,
wow.
We weren't.
Yeah, because you're a fireman, you see him.
Yeah, we weren't besties, but we've crossed paths, been at the same functions and whatever. So I knew Larry. And the social media aspect of it is, right after it happened, you had these people saying, and we had riots here in Cincinnati in 2001. And you have people saying we need to go back to 2001 and show these motherfuckers what it is. And putting that out on these mainstream Cincinnati pages.
I mean, I don't understand the emotional outcry and why you want to rally around somebody who was fleeing a stolen car to begin with and had a gun in their hand. Like, I know the argument now is, well, he didn't point it at the cops. I mean, that hasn't yet to be even seen yet. But already you have taken a narrative and the media has taken a narrative and a lot of the anti-police people have already taken a narrative that this guy was wrongfully shot and that it's completely okay for somebody to run over an old retired police officer who's just directing traffic. 99.999% of police officers feel that they are there because they have a calling from God, and they're volunteers for baseball teams. They take inner city kids and out of their own pockets buy Christmas gifts for them.
Yeah.
They adopt. I mean, I know one police female that we are supposed to have breakfast with. I wasn't able to make it, but I mean, she's adopted 4 children and left law enforcement to adopt children because where she was working, she felt so bad for these kids in group homes that she felt a calling from God to help them. So a lot of these people have this spirit of love and of giving, and yet for some reason, like, we're going to think it's okay to just run this guy over because your son decided to jump in a stolen car and then run from the cops with a gun, and you were found with a magazine inside of your jacket. Where is society? Yeah. Where are we going at this point?
Well, and the kick in the nuts with this is it was Cincinnati police that shot Ryan Hinton. Larry was a Hamilton County Sheriff's deputy, not even the same organization. And literally clicking a button for crosswalks and traffic lights for University of Cincinnati's graduation, standing on a corner. Pretty sure he didn't even see it coming.
No.
And, it's just, I mean, it's just so.
And I'll tell you this, I'm going to go to CBS, the video coverage. I just want to go to the comments section. Congo Heights 9505. He did not point any gun at the police. So much lies. Again, we haven't even seen the full tape yet. It's clear. This is coming from Jenny Murray 525. I don't know why I gave her a British accent. It's clear the kid was running away from him and not towards him. Just some guy 9325. Not saying he should have killed him, but I understand. As in, he shouldn't have killed. He understands why he killed the cop. Seriously, issues. And by the way, I think that's hilarious. Not saying he should have killed him, but I understand. But you don't understand why the cops killed him?
Right.
That's funny. That's crazy. So why do cops give up their right to go home alive at night?
Right.
I don't know. Exactly. Seriously, issues. He was running away from cops, not pointing a gun at him. I'm glad you're not dismissing the fact that he had a gun. Kids shouldn't have had a gun, but he shouldn't have been killed for it. As a father, I've seen the video. I would 100% get some revenge. No, you wouldn't, because You're not about that life. I promise you.
And when he was running in that tape, the little bits we've seen, he trips and drops the gun. You can hear it, and then he picks it back up. Now,
yeah,
if he wasn't going to do anything nefarious or potentially, he would have just kept running and fuck that gun, leave it on the ground. And keep running.
If you didn't want to, if you like how you're running from cops in 2025 with a gun. Okay, first of all, a good father tells his kid not to run with scissors, and also probably not to run with an unholstered firearm if you can at all help it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why in 2025 are you so stupid that you would run from cops with a gun? Like, you have to know. It's all over the media. Let's just go with your narrative, right? Like, if you truly believe that cops want to kill black kids, and that's the narrative you really want to believe, okay? Then even more reason not to run from cops with a gun. Somebody says he is 18. I don't know what 18. I guess am I calling him a kid? Is that the point? Right. He's not a kid. At 18, I was actually in Afghanistan fighting a fucking war at 18.
Right.
No, that's not true. I was 19.
Close enough.
No.
But yeah, I mean, people
I was
calling
19.
this guy a kid, and I'm like, he's a man. I mean, granted, mentally, he may still be a kid, but legally, and to your point, he could go fight a war. He's a fucking man.
Yeah, you're a fucking dude. And 18, but, dude, I just did Muay Thai with a fucking 18-year-old man. Let an 18-year-old. I'm 41, and I train 3 to 4 days a week, if not 5 days a week sometimes. And I train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai. 41 years old, combat veteran, police officer. Let an 18-year-old kick you in Muay Thai in the legs repeatedly, and then call him a kid to his face.
You're like, Ashley, get the ice packs out. I need them bad.
Let my 12-year-old kick you in the legs, and then have an 18-year-old kick you in the leg, and then which one is the kid?
Right.
You know what I mean? There's a huge fucking difference.
Yeah.
On 18, you are definitely a man. And if you're not a man, that's only because the public school system has convinced you, and they have held you back from your full potential to believe that you are still a kid. I mean, 100 years ago or less, 50 years ago, kids were so, and we raise five homeschooled kids. Some of the neighbors even up the street think it's wild that my 12-year-old will catch a squirrel, kill the squirrel, clean the squirrel, and eat the squirrel, and then come home and tell me about it all by themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, they will catch their own crawfish that they, can self-identify snakes. My 12-year-old right now, I would totally write in my will that if I were to pass and my wife were to pass, that my 12-year-old makes all the decisions, because we've raised mature freaking 12-year-olds. 18, you're a fucking man. You're a man. Stop calling him a kid. Let me just continue. I want to read just a couple of these because they're super insightful. Eye for an eye, justice. Okay, that's interesting. An eye for an eye, justice. So when does that apply and not apply?
Right. It doesn't apply to the guy that was nowhere near the scene.
Yeah, wasn't an eye for an eye. Yeah. So does that mean we get, now we're going to kill this guy because he killed somebody that wasn't even related to the crime? Or so because a blood gang member does a drive-by shooting, shoots an innocent child, do I now just go go pick out random black folks and kill them? Right.
It's the ignorance in these comments. I mean, and it's been going on since, last, Thursday or Friday. I think it happened on Thursday. And then Larry got killed on Saturday. But yeah, it's been going all weekend. I mean,
I love this comment here. I heard the kid did not have a gun and the cops made that up to cover that up. That's what you heard? Aaron Dickerson 9354. I heard the kid did not have a gun. You're going to get on the social media webs, watch a CNBC news article, drop down to the comments, and then write, I heard something, and you didn't go and just fucking research it?
Fucking clowns.
This is all just so stupid. This is the dumbest stuff ever. And rest in peace, Ryan. He didn't have a gun in his hand on the video. Does nobody feel am I the only one that feels sorry for the person who got their car stolen?
No doubt. And that's something that's not even being talked about at all.
Yeah,
never mind you trying to get to work and make your living.
And it's another thing that people don't understand about cops, and having been a cop in the inner city, is we go, we're in the inner city. Most of the crimes happen to black people by black people where I worked, in the district that I worked. Black on black crime. But you want to call me racist? Why? Because I'm standing up for the black person who was a victim?
Right. Yeah.
How does that make me a racist? Because I had a black woman cry to me that she saved up her money. She's working 2 jobs. Her kid's going to college. And then she bought her car and she was heating it up and it got stolen. And she is so upset because now she's going to lose her job. How's her kid going to make it through college? All of this shit's going to weigh up on her, because is the insurance even going to cover this? Because I left my car unlocked and it was running because it was cold outside. Her whole life's been flipped upside down because some fucking asshole stole her car. And then I get in a foot chase with this guy and I beat the fucking brakes off of him. You catch it on videotape, which is not a true story. I did not do that to anybody, but you know what I'm saying? If it would have happened because you're emotionally charged, and then all of a sudden you're the cop, you're the bad guy. So this guy gets to get emotionally charged and kill some random deputy that had nothing to do with the case. But a cop can't be emotionally charged and punch a dude once or twice in the back of the head that stole a car. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're upset because you want to be upset. You're upset because you're the ones that are committing crimes and you don't want to be held responsible for your crimes. And so you created some kind of bad guy in the cops so that you can menace your own society, that you can be. It's like when we go street skateboarding. We went street skating with my kids yesterday. We were skating on this waxed curb outside of a business, and the business owner came out and asked us to leave. And I said, yeah, sure. And he was like, because I said, sir, you don't have to explain yourself. We will leave. This is your place of business. I don't even care if you own the business or you don't own the business. What right do we have to be skating at any place of business? Right. We just see if we can get away with it. And the guy was walking me away and he was like, man, you're really cool. Normally it's a real big thing when we kick skateboarders out of here, blah, blah, blah. And I said, sir, not with us, not with my family. Well, and we expect to be kicked out.
You're level-headed. You're level-headed. And
I'm not looking for a fight.
Exactly. And you take responsibility. Okay, yeah, I'm somewhere I'm not supposed to be. Got it. I'm out. You don't blame it on somebody else.
Exactly. You know what I mean? And so we've gone street skating with other people. They're like, you're not even security. Shut the fuck up. And I'm like, yo, whoa. Who cares if he's security or not security? What right do we have to skate on somebody else's hard work that they've built?
Right.
Now, am I going to try to get away with it? Hell
sure.
Am I going to go back at night and hit it again? Hell yeah. But I'm not going to be mad when somebody doesn't want me to do it. It's not mine. You wouldn't let somebody come to your house randomly and start skating on your shit. You know, why should we expect it from anybody else?
Yeah. I don't know if you saw any of the arraignment video when his first court appearance Saturday.
Well, you know, I saw the articles where, you know, everybody was upset because there was like 30 plus police officers in there and that was intimidation. But you had the Daniel Holtzclaw case, which we're covering on the Free Holtzclaw podcast. And you had Black Panthers in there with their berets on, BLM activists chanting and making a fool of themselves. So I mean, it's like you know, they want everything their way, right? The activists want everything their way, but they don't want it in return. So it's like we want to be able to fill the courtrooms and create anarchy and retard this system, but we don't want you to do it.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and it's like the filibuster in politics. And these are all people led by the Democrats. And it's because they're taught by their politicians to act this way. See, the Democrats would cover this on the show where they're just like, oh, the filibuster is the biggest thing, blah, blah, blah. And then when the Republicans win the House, or whenever they win that committee, then all of a sudden the Democrats don't want the filibuster anymore. And you know what I'm saying? Right. And it's like, oh, all of a sudden, and it's learned behavior.
Yep. As he's walking out, you know, there's a line of deputies. And he's talking shit to each one of them as they're leading him back to his holding cell. I mean, literally, he was like, he's gone forever. And he's like posturing and shit. It was just, there's absolutely no remorse. There's no, you know, he's not thinking about, you know, Larry Henderson's family who, you know, Larry retired in December and was working a special detail.
Right.
So it's like, and that's the kick in the nuts even more. It's like, I mean, did he have to be there? He chose to be there. Don't get me wrong. You know, working those extra details. But, you know, my buddy, you know, our co-host, Dan Carroll, his son graduates from Cincinnati Police Academy on Friday. Yeah. And I am petrified for him.
Oh, yeah.
This is a horrible time to be coming out as a police officer.
Yeah, Flip the Script. Thank you for being in the comments. I've seen you commented a few times in here. I haven't seen you before. I'll just address one of the things you said. I do not understand systemic problem of poverty. I've written a lot about it in my book, Pig Latin, a seriously funny true story. You can grab it on Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes and Noble, wherever. It's up for pre-order now. I do understand this. I've been to some of the most poverty-stricken places in the world, and they're not all of them are ran by crime or crime syndicates. Afghanistan is a great example of that. Yeah, it's very third world. They don't even have toilet paper. So, but the level of crime is not near the level of crime here. The level of ignorance isn't like we see ignorance here. I would also encourage you to ask this question. I was a police officer in the inner city of Raleigh, and I had one of the hardest beats, or arguably the hardest beat in the entire district. Very small, but it was about 2 square miles, not really that big, but it's where like 78% of the crime in the city took place. And anything I tried to do as a street cop that was working there every day, the idea was almost shot down immediately. And the excuse was, oh, we've already tried that, or we've already done that. It's been like this for 30 years. We've already tried that. And so here's my argument to this. Flip the script. Ask yourself this. So you're telling me in 30 years that 2 square miles, not one mayor, not one police chief, not one community organizer, not one college graduate, not one church leader, not one person in 30 years can have an idea to fix 2 square miles? Or is it you don't want it to be fixed? Or is it that 2 square miles doesn't want it to be fixed? Because you can go over to low income housing on the other side of the city, not in that district, and we're not having those problems? Or is it because that has been taken over by predominantly criminals, and criminals want to be criminals? And so there's not really a systemic problem there. It's just that's where the bad people go. Mm-hmm. Arguably, the trailer park with all the Mexicans, the illegal Mexicans down on Kings Parkway, hundreds and hundreds of trailers, very low income, mostly inhabited by Hispanics, probably illegal Hispanics. How come we don't have any crime there? Oh, we do, but like we're not near, like we don't have the graffiti crime, we don't have the we just have like a couple of domestics, maybe some drinking related incidents, but like we don't have stabbings and shootings on the daily. It's like nobody's saying, Eric, you can't take an hour-long lunch break today because if you don't go drive up and down your beat, the two gang members are going to shoot each other because they're having a beef right now. So you're going to have to eat lunch down there so they see your cop car. But now I have to eat my lunch while people are going, fuck 12, fuck 12. But if I wasn't sitting there, I would be wiping up one of their bodies off of the concrete,
right?
Which happens all the time. And if I was a real racist, what do you think I would, guess what I would do? If I really hated the people of the inner city where I worked, what do you think I would do? I would go park my cop car behind the church and I would slowly respond to every fucking shooting. That's what I don't get, Jason. It's like, if I'm so bad and I'm so racist and I hate you so much, if that was true, I would park my cop car, I would hide it, and then I would drive it like Mach 5 miles an hour to all the shootings and stabbing so that you would all just die.
Right.
If I really didn't care about you, that's what I would do. But the fact that I park my car out in the middle of a neighborhood that I don't really, quote unquote, care about and risk my life to eat my lunch in a place I don't, quote unquote, care about, what's in it for me? To get shot eating my bologna sandwich for a bunch of idiots who were raised by idiots.
Yeah.
Children who've never been told no because they weren't raised by parents who do whatever they want. They don't need, see, back in the day, and I had one of the old heads tell me this. He said, back in the day, we actually had rules. Like we didn't sell drugs on Sundays. If you robbed somebody and they gave them your stuff, you didn't pistol whip them. And he said, these kids now, they don't have those rules anymore. Now they'll hold you at gunpoint. You'll give them the money and they'll still pistol smack you or shoot you. They have zero rules. There's zero laws. And so I don't buy the systemic problem of poverty anymore. But if we do want to go down that route, why haven't any of these, what have they done with the money and the resources that they cannot fix 2 square miles of bad cities? Go to Atlanta, Georgia, and look at the disparity in the line where the bad part of Atlanta starts and where it ends. You're telling me that of all the smart minds, all the brilliant people that are going to all these colleges, black or white colleges, which I think is hilarious that we have like segregated colleges these days. That's a whole nother story. But you're telling me like all of these great minds and all these great heads, and we have all the openness of these city commission meetings, but you can't fix it. Let me tell you why you can't fix it. Have you ever been to a city commission meeting? Flip the script. Have you ever gone into the inner city and sat at one of the meetings? And I love to ask all the white people this that go out there and they protest. So go out there and protest, but they won't go and sit at the meetings. Go look at the fucking retards at the city commissions meetings, chanting. And the ideas that they come up with. You would be like, oh, it's clear that you want crime to continue in this inner city. So you have the most dangerous block in the city, and your idea is have less cops there.
And see how that works out.
Okay, where all of our black children are dying, all of our black men are dying, all of our women are dying, and the city's not doing anything to it. Very next person that gets up, we need to get the police out of here. We got too many polices out here. And everybody in the crowd, yeah, and it's like, and then you're just like, okay, oh, this has nothing to do with poverty. You don't want it to change because you want to continue to live the lifestyle that you've been living. And nobody in the local government wants to fix that. And when you have the city mission taking rape offenders, murderers, and really bad people and just signing off on the community service when they get paroled, now it's like you could commit a heinous crime, permanently scar a victim, get paroled, get out in less than 5 years, and you're still not going to have to do any community service because the Helping Hand Mission is just going to sign off on it because they feel sorry for you or something? I don't understand. So there's no accountability. So what do you think that raper or that murderer, that domestic abuser, whatever it is that landed in the 5 years, what do you think he's going to do next? There's no accountability. And he's seen as almost like a hero.
And with that too, I mean, you can throw in, the politicians that don't want to change anything. Is they have power. They have power over these people. So they don't want to empower them because they want to be able to control them, to be able to get them in the next election to vote for them. Or, it's a whole big tangled web of shit. But
Flip the script says I lived in Baltimore City. So let me tell you about my one experience with Baltimore City. And I'm not coming against you, Flip the script. I don't even know you. I have no idea who you are or what. So I hope you don't see this as me like coming down on you at all. But I am passionate about this because I worked in the inner city and it drove me nuts. Like when the city council decided, or whoever powers it be decided to put a $7 million or so $2 million, $7 million, I don't care, millions of dollars YMCA in the middle of the hood where violent crime was the ultimate issue. And they put this extremely nice YMCA when I've been asking for nets to put on the basketball hoops. The city mayor, the city manager, and they're all Democrats. Me as a line cop, I'm asking you to put nets and lights on the basketball courts so that black teenagers could play basketball all night long and to take the no trespassing signs down off the basketball court. Why am I trespassing somebody from city property playing fucking basketball?
right.
But then you, as a society, get mad at me, the cop, for a rule that you fucking made, a rule that I said shouldn't even be there. And by the way, why are you putting nets on the basketball hoops? How much does a net cost? You'll send these city workers around to get, graffiti off of certain areas. You won't send them to the hood to get rid of the graffiti, but you'll take them to the nicer sides of towns and they'll waste all their time getting little amounts of graffiti off, but you can't get somebody to go around and put chains or nets on any of the city basketball courts. And that's a cop's problem. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm passionate about this flip the script? Because me as a cop, I'm saying, hey, you want me to fuck with black people less? Put lights on the basketball courts, let them play basketball all night. And by the way, let's put some fucking nets on there and make it look like a basketball court, actually. Like, why is there weeds growing on the basketball court? That's fucking strange. That's not a cop's job. Right. So if you're an inner city black teen that doesn't have a father and you're running wild on the streets with gang members and you walk by a chained in basketball court with grass growing all out of it and no net and graffiti everywhere and a fucking bottle of beer somewhere, are you going to play basketball on that court? Are you going to take the time to clean off the basketball court and shovel the weeds and shoot some basketball on the hoops? No, you're probably not. You're going to sit there and you're going to continue to trash the place because why wouldn't you? You're a teenager. Like, that's what kids do. And so when the local cop says, hey, like, why don't you guys come down here and like clean the fucking basketball court off for these kids? Let's put some nets on the hoop. And then maybe I won't have to come by here and deal with them trading guns and shit over here. And then I don't look like a big giant asshole. But then they said, oh, we don't have the funds for that. We can't do that. We don't have the energy. But then you'll build a $2 million YMCA and flip the script. You'll say, well, that's great. Yay. That's what we need. Why they put YMCAs in the white neighborhoods? Why don't they put it in the black neighborhoods? Okay. Now you have a $2 million YMCA with a pool and all the other accoutrements inside of a black community with low income. Who can afford the YMCA? Who can afford to pay for the YMCA? Do you know how much it costs to go to YMCA? Oh, no, we have scholarships because it's in the inner city. Great. Do you know which parent in the inner city is going to walk over there and fill out a scholarship for their black child to go there? How many white kids versus black kids are going to be there? So now you have the one black parent that is going to take the time, that's going to fill out the paperwork to get a scholarship. They're going to go through the whole rigmarole. And then their black child's going to go there and it's full of white yuppie kids who are doing white yuppie shit. And that kid's not even going to fit in there. So it's not for the inner city. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, that's the fucking racism. It's not, it's not the police. And by the way, these are Democrat city managers. And guess who's getting the money? The $300,000 to draw up this plan. Well, $300,000 would have supplied basketball nets and lawn care for all the basketball courts. How about a free weightlifting area? You know what I mean? But what's more important? And then that's the thing is, like, as a cop, what I think is more important is saving people's lives. I don't want black gang members to shoot random kids. I don't want black gang members to die either, frankly.
Yeah, the loss of life is a loss of life.
A loss of life is a loss of life. And I came at policing, like I said, from compassion and for wanting to actually be a bleeding heart. Like, I want to give back. I can't tell you. I'm not even going to tell you how many Christmas presents, how many times I went to a house and saw a child in need and cried in my cop car because I felt terrible for the wife that was beaten by the husband who refused to press charges. And this kid is hiding in the corner, living in fear over some crackhead, alcoholic, wannabe father that's only in the house so that he can collect the government assistance checks to go out and buy more stuff. And how I went to wanted to buy Christmas presents and do all those things. I'm not going to tell you all of that because I didn't do it for clout, but like I came at it from a bleeding heart. And so I get really passionate when we talk about the inner city stuff like this and we blame it on the poverty issues. It has nothing to do with the poverty issues. It has to do with that it is encouraged by your local government and by all your wannabe bleeding hearts that have never actually been there and done any work there. So when your college kids, your white college kids, by the way, come up with an idea to build a garden in the inner city and then abandon said garden when it gets vandalized, what business did white kids have in a college trying to fix an inner city hood? Why not find a black kid at the black college? Again, I don't even agree with that, but that's a truth in the inner cities. You have inner city black college. Why didn't they come up with an idea of how to put something cool in the inner cities? You think they would have put a fucking garden? No. And here's my only, no, the city taxes, they got plenty of money. Use the city taxes to build a YMCA. They use this. How about, okay, let me give you this example. Again, not trying to argue with you here, but like I'm playing devil's advocate with you. You're a citizen of Baltimore. I'm not going to pretend like I know more about Baltimore than you, but I have one experience in Baltimore. My kids are skateboarders. We skateboard all over the place. We skateboard in the inner cities. That's where we skateboard. My kids are on a skateboard team that's predominantly at least 50-50 black. So, and older, they're like 16 to 17-year-old black males, right? And a lot of them smoke weed, drink 40-ounce beers. And my kids hang out with these guys. Like my kids skateboard with them. Okay. So, we go to Baltimore for a skate trip. And we end up, we're gonna skateboard at one of the parks on our way to the hotel. We drove all the way up to Baltimore. And we got there 9:00 at night-ish. And so my kids are like, can we skate before we go and check in at the hotel and go to bed? And I'm like, sure. Or maybe it was like 8:00. Sorry. It's winter, so it gets dark super early. And we get there, we get to the skate park, and everybody's staring at us. And it's 100% black. My kids are the only white kids there. Okay, it's fine. It's a skate park. Who cares? Maybe you just haven't seen any white kids skating at their skate park. I don't know anything about this skate park. So he starts to skate. A black girl walks over to there's no mulch in the little garden area. It's actually like rocks. She scoops up all the stones into her shirt. She walks over to the bowl and dumps all the rocks into the bowl, making a clear statement that your white kids cannot skate in this bowl. Okay. All right. We won't do it. We go out to the car. A drive-by shooting happens right by the skate park. And I almost see that black girl's like a little angel, because had we not left, now they didn't actually shoot. They drove by, stuck their guns out the window and yelled, and everybody ran. I ended up having both my kids, like, I'm just like shoving their heads down into the floorboard of the seat. And I was like, dude, this is insanity. This isn't Baltimore. So you're telling me that little skate park right there, which is a skate park, which is a fenced-in spot, that nobody can fix that spot and make it a safe spot? Because of poverty, because of taxes? No. If you gave a shit, you could make that a safe place. And there wouldn't be any drive-by shootings. So you tell me, where is the safe place? If it's not going to be a skate park that's fenced in, if that's not a safe place and it's ran by gang members that weren't skating. By the way, I forgot to add that caveat. Nobody was skating but my kids at the skate park. So it was all like, vapors and like their 40-ounce beers. Like that was their hangout. Again, why is it their hangout? Because nobody has made it a safe spot. They've made it a place where you can commit crimes. So really, it doesn't cost the city any money to make it clear that this is a safe spot. We don't tolerate after hour certain behaviors here, and you create a culture of go to Apex, North Carolina skate park. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Not a single piece of graffiti. Nobody's doing drugs out there. There's no gangs hanging out right there. It doesn't cost any money to keep the park safe. They don't have like security guards out there or anything, but they've created a culture around that skate park, and the skaters take pride there. I mean, I don't know what let's see. I'm not blaming the actions of anybody. What I'm saying is my point being that if we wanted these cities to be safer, if you wanted to have safer places and you really, really cared, then you would make those places safer. And here's the proof of the pudding. You will stand up for gang members. You will rally on the side of gang members who get shot by police. You will rally around rappers who wear their blue flags and their red flags. You will allow gang members to wear their colors. You see them walking into gas stations with their masks on. You see them driving. You see them walking. You see gang members flying colors and acting like gang members all over the place, and you don't hold them accountable. But we all wear a little anti-Nazi symbol, even though nobody's even met a real Nazi. I don't even know the last time a Nazi is like killed somebody. I've never met a fucking Nazi or somebody that, I mean, maybe they're low key undercover, but I've never been like, yeah, I'm a Nazi, because we would shame the fuck out of them. They all live in trailer parks and they're all on meth, these real Nazis, but you'll see tons of white people walking around with anti-Nazi symbols all over their thing, but they've never even actually met a Nazi. But they won't walk around with an anti-Bloods patch, anti-Crips patch. They won't walk around with an anti-Hells Angels patch or a Mongols patch or an MS-113 patch. They won't, which by the way, the leading killer of black males 18 to 25 are other black males, predominantly gang members. Look it up. Easy
Correct.
stat to look up. Non-arguable fact to look up. But you won't stand up against them, and you'll allow these fucking knuckleheads to be cool and put up gang members. Imagine if a Nazi football player, like a white football player, went out and did like some kind of white supremacy shit. Remember when Elon Musk did
I was
his
just
fucking
gonna
South
say,
African
Elon.
wave and everybody lost their fucking minds?
Elon's
But
a
you won't
Nazi.
lose your minds when Snoop Dogg gets up there with his bandanas, or when Lil Wayne gets up there with his bandanas, or Tech 969, whatever his name is. You won't get over there. You celebrate their music. Like, imagine if somebody started writing music about Nazis killing other people. You'd be like, what the fuck? They would never get $1. But a black man or a white rapper, whatever, can write music about doing gang shit to other people, and like records sell.
Like
So-
NWA 187.
It's like you don't want it to be fixed. Society doesn't want it to fix. You want there to be an enemy, and you want the cops to be an enemy. Well, I did not plan on spending 41 minutes talking about this guy. We have so much other news to get through, but at the end of the day, this Ohio man was wrong. 100%. You don't. An eye for an eye does not mean you go out and you kill another innocent person. That's not how we do in a civil society. It's not how anything should be celebrated. And frankly, again, if you want to encourage change, if you want to encourage enlightenment, if you want to encourage education, then and you should put, hey, don't let the media make us look like fools here, black people. Like let's wait till all the facts come out. They did this with Michael Brown. They did it with Breonna Taylor.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
How many people rallied around Breonna Taylor, and only to know the truth. And it makes everybody look bad, because when you find out the truth of these, and you're like, oh, so Breonna Taylor was like running, like they had 30 days of footage of her running. She was attached to 2 different drive-by shootings in rental cars. Her boyfriend was investigated for 2 separate murders and was the leader of the local gang and ran 3 trap houses. Like when you start to see like the totality of it, you're like, oh, maybe if you play with the sword long enough, you're going to cut yourself. And you keep, you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, Breonna Taylor lived a life of crime with her crime syndicate boyfriend.
Yeah.
By the way, they recovered guns from all 3 trap houses from her real boyfriend. And then she was cheating on her boyfriend at the time with another guy when she got killed. So lots of mistakes being made here, but we're going to rally around Breonna Taylor, and we're going to talk to her like she was an EMT. She wasn't. She was an emergency medical room technician. She, that's totally different than an EMT, but we believe this stuff, and then we regurgitate it, and it makes you look foolish, because you're like, at the end of the day, that the whole case, it's a much different picture than what the media painted it to be. And when you regurgitate it, it shows that you are susceptible to being manipulated by American propaganda. Like, you allowed the American propaganda to make you look foolish. What happened when they made Gretchen Whitmer look foolish? That story went away real quick, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely, it did.
When the Gretchen Whitmer case turned out to be absolute bullshit, the media took that away. They made it disappear. The media will still ramp up Breonna Taylor to this day. They still continue to put her on headlines all throughout the year. Every year they bring it up.
Yep.
And what we read that stat one time, that 39% of people still believe that Breonna Taylor was asleep in her bed and was a EMT worker, and that she was shot on a no-knock warrant. And we know that it wasn't a no-knock warrant, and that we know that a jury of their peers, predominantly black, in Louisville, acquitted Sergeant Mattingly in less than 2 hours. Like, they didn't even have to think about it. Like, that's how innocent he was. But yet they continue the media lies Why, in my opinion, is because they want the inner city people to look foolish. They want them to say things like on the YouTube channels, and they take advantage of a culture who's not going to go and do the research. That they're going to post things like, "I heard the cop didn't have a gun." That's what you heard. You don't have the ability. You have the ability to get on the internet, watch a YouTube video, and make a comment. You don't have the ability to go and just do 3 minutes of research to find out the truth for yourself. You have to rely on mainstream government propaganda media to tell you how to think. How many black people are still wearing masks in cars? Like, it's unbelievable. I don't know if it's any different in Cincinnati, but like, you don't see any white people wearing masks in cars.
No, I mean, maybe one or two. I mean, it's the numbers are definitely different, but
what I'm saying about Breonna Taylor isn't true. Is that what you're saying? What I'm saying about Breonna Taylor is not true? When you heard I've watched all the witness testimony. I've had Sergeant Mattingly live on the show. I've had another black officer from the case come on my show. I have done hours and hours of research, and you're telling me that what I'm saying about Breonna Taylor isn't true? Please enlighten me on that. It is absolutely 100%. She was not. There are witnesses that live right next to her that testified in court that they heard Breonna Taylor's voice yelling back at the police for over 1 minute and 40 seconds. They actually recreated it in the courtroom.
I wish I could reach through the camera and check your pulse right now.
Oh my gosh. I think that's hilarious, right? Because just because you fell for it doesn't mean what I'm saying is not true. What I'm telling you is you should take a look at the case for yourself. Look into the perfect example. Let me give you one more example, and I'm definitely moving on from this. Yeah. Got to move on from this. But the Daniel Holtzclaw case, I played the 911 tape from the man from Terry Moore, who claimed that the cops raped her. And this is what spun off the whole Daniel Holtzclaw case. And so we played the tape yesterday. I played it on the Free Holtzclaw podcast. I played the 911 audio. And it's this man, a black guy, black girl. And he's saying that she's on drugs, she's on alcohol, she's in my car, she's tearing my car up. Please get the cops here. She's yelling. She's like, bitch, don't you fucking tell the police that. I'm your fucking girlfriend, bitch. Blah, 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 blah. I'm at my mama's house. Da, da, da. And she's going off. She's going nuts. And then she goes, bitch, y'all, you calling the police, and the police has raped me. And he was like, oh, you acting crazy. And he's yelling at her. And he's like, now she's throwing CDs at me. Somebody come get her ass. And blah, blah, blah. Then the news, we play the news clip. So I played you the 911 audio. And then I play you what the news says. And they have the same guy who was talking shit to her, calling her a crackhead, calling her this and that, saying that she's crazy, throwing stuff at him. She's drunk, completely ignores the fact that she says cops raped her. Continues to say, get the cops here faster, basically. I play the whole tape. It's ridiculous. The news gets on him, and he was like, so, as soon as I found out she had been raped by the police, I called the police right away. And, we've got to get down. And she was afraid, and she was crying. And I just can't imagine how I would be feeling. And it's just completely opposite of what we heard on the 911 call. The 911 call had nothing to do with a police rape. The 911 call had to do with he picked up a drunk lady who was also high on crack cocaine, as he says it. So you're getting to, and then people will believe the media in the Daniel Holtzclaw case. And it's crazy. Just like, go listen to the audio and then listen to what the news say. The news is lying to you, homie. I know you don't want to believe that, but I have to promise you, when you see the weatherman sitting in a ditch and the water's up to his waist and he's trying to convince you that there's a chaotic flood, but then the cameraman accidentally zooms out and there's people playing in the streets, jumping rope, and then they make it look like, and they don't apologize to you, and you still believe that, that's on you. Be a free thinker. Be a critical thinker. If you want to fix the inner cities, if you want to fix black on black crime, if you want to fix gang violence in America, then you have to accept realities. And the reality is not what you're seeing on Fox News, and it's not what you're seeing on CNN News. Let me give you one more prime example. Flip the script. They said on the George Floyd case on Fox News that there was enough fentanyl in George Floyd's system to kill 400 elephants. I played the clip on our George Floyd breakdown. CNN said that there was zero fentanyl in George Floyd's system. The toxicology report, which was selected by the defense and the state, they select the doctor to do toxicology in this. He had consumed fentanyl between like 9, I don't remember what it was, 9 and 11 p.m., which the fentanyl had worn off by around 2 or 3 a.m. And by 6 a.m., he was looking for another fix. So there wasn't enough fentanyl in the system to kill 400 elephants, but there wasn't zero fentanyl in the system either. So why are both major news outlets, the main news articles that everybody in America should trust because they're the biggest names in news, how come they both got it so wrong, having the same facts that independent journalists like myself or anybody else out there has? And then why is it regurgitated by everybody else? Because without question, why is it TMZ? Why is everybody else regurgitates exactly what Fox News and CNN says? And they don't go that none of those college kids, none of those free thinkers, nobody had it in their mind to go, well, which one was it? Was it 400 elephants or was it 0 elephants? So here's your two options, flip the script. Either A, you only watch Fox News and so you believe that there was 400 enough fentanyl to kill 400 elephants, or B, you only watch CNN and you believe that there was 0 elephants. Either way, that makes you an idiot.
Well, and also it gets regurgitated and changed. So you have the two news networks that put out, this different information, but then you'll hear, I heard, and there's, the saying, telephone, telegraph, telefireman, because it changes. Because then as the story goes, it's never accurate.
I've never taken Derek Chauvin's side. That's not the point. The point is that the media lies to you and tells you one story. And the question is, if we're not going to get the totality of the story, then how can there be any justice for anyone? If we're not going to tell the whole truth and you're going to be manipulated and both sides are going to be manipulated, it makes everybody angry. And it makes people like you and I, who probably agree on everything, we fight because you watch one news and I watch another news. That's my point, flip the script. I bet you if you and I were having beers and talking alone, you and I would probably on paper believe in the same things, the exact same things. But the media has made us want to fight because the media is the problem. And that's what you have to realize. What you have to realize is that mainstream media is wrong on all sides of the coin. So when you have people who are on the side of the police saying that there was 400 there was enough fentanyl to kill 400 elephants, and then you have somebody on the very opposite side saying that there was no fentanyl in the system, that's a pretty big argument. Whereas we could have a pretty reasonable conversation and probably come to the same exact conclusions without any fight whatsoever. If both you and I were like, man, that sucks. He shouldn't have had fentanyl in the system, but he also probably shouldn't have been choked out by police. But instead we're fighting over, no. He had enough fentanyl in his system. He died from something else. He died from a heart attack. He died from an overdose. And you're like, there was no fentanyl in the system. You're a liar. You're bullshit. And we never get to the point that we both probably agree that there was some shit that happened that shouldn't have happened. And we're fighting for no reason. Does that make sense? Like, we're fighting for absolutely zero reason. And then we hate the police, and then we blame the police for all of these issues when at the end of the day, Derek Chauvin was trained in that technique. And there were a lot of things, not saying that the technique was right or wrong, but what I'm saying is he was trained in that technique. And so now we have a bigger problem, but guess what? We never talked about that because they never brought it up. So guess what? Technique is probably still being taught to a lot of other agencies across America. And what's going to happen again? So again, if you really cared about saving Black lives and having people not choked out by police, then we would accept the fact that Derek Chauvin was taught that. And we were able to see the manual that was presented in court, that he was talked about. It doesn't make it wrong or right. Nobody's arguing that. But now we can say, who else is teaching this? And how do we get it corrected? But we don't. Nobody's talking like that. Right. What you're saying is, no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that he was taught that. He shouldn't have killed him. He shouldn't have killed him. It doesn't matter. No, that's not the point. Right. That's not the point. The point is there's other people being taught that. And it's going to make other cops look bad.
And it's going to continue.
That's not the point. The point is that you wanted to be right and you wanted to hate cops. You want a reason to hate cops. And then, and that brings me to my next story, which is Antifa in Washington taking over a school. So more than 25 mass activists arrested after taking over University of Washington building. By the way, this is going to coincide with another story about Harvard losing some federal funding, which again is another story that mainstream media completely takes out of context. Like our Cinco de Mayo story, where Cinco de Mayo was canceled over the summer because of 21 people shot by Mexican gang members in Chicago. In July of 2024, they said, okay, because you guys can't keep the gang violence down 3 years in a row, we're no longer doing a Cinco de Mayo parade. Mm-hmm. But then this year, but now that was in July of 2024, April of 2025, 7 months, 8 months later, 9 months later, however many months, 10 months, I guess, if I'm doing my math correctly. 10 months later, we now say that there's going to be no Cinco de Mayo parade because they're afraid of ICE. Well, that's not true. That's not the real story. You canceled Cinco de Mayo because of gang violence, Mexican gang violence. But now you're putting out on mainstream media 1 month before Cinco de Mayo that you're canceling Cinco de Mayo because you're afraid of ICE agents wrapping up, even though there's no evidence to back that up. And so then you have a whole bunch of people. You get what I'm saying now in the live chat? Whatever your name was, I forget your name. I'm so sorry. Not to be rude. You see what I'm saying? Like how the media manipulates, flip the script. See how they manipulate? They canceled Cinco de Mayo in July. They made a city-wide decision to cancel Cinco de Mayo because of 21 people shot at the Cinco de Mayo parade by Mexican gang members. And they had to cancel the parade the year prior in the middle of the parade because of gang violence.
Weird.
But 1 month before the parade this year, the media tells you that they're canceling the parade because ICE agents are going to, even though there was not one single bit of evidence that showed that ICE was going to be there rounding up anybody at Cinco de Mayo parade. So again, that's how the media is going to lie to you. And I prove that. So go back, I don't know, 3 or 4 shows and go back where I show you the articles that are very difficult to find on Google, but they're all from notable sources. They're from Chicago's News, CNN, Fox, and CBS. You have to put it in verbatim and exactly because the Google algorithm hides it from you.
I think
and
that
you
was
can
last
go back
week.
and you can read it. Was it last week?
I think so.
Is it last week or week last week? But anyway, so there you go. That's how they're doing it. And so now they're doing the same thing with the federal funding story in the Harvard, which is why I do this show. Should I give you a different perspective? So now we have Antifa attacking this multi-millions of dollar re-engineering facility in the University of Washington. Antifa takes it over. So let me just go from whatever news source you want to pull it from. Let's just see what mainstream media says. So this is coming from an actual like independent journalist site, My Northwest News, which is, I mean, it's mainstream-ish, but it's a local radio station that's in Washington. So let's just read what they have to say. This is from mynorthwest.com. The University of Washington, UW, Jewish alumni organization reported that black-clad masked activists took over. By the way, I don't mean black people. They mean like guys wearing ninja suits, white people wearing ninja suits, okay? Black-clad masked activists took over UW's, University of Washington's new engineering building Monday night. By the way, this new engineering building is like, I don't even remember, like $50 million building or something like that. Just insane amount of money. We'll get to it in a second. The demonstration began at 5 p.m., lasted till 11:30 p.m. Police began to remove people from the building and arrested those who refused to leave. According to the group called Students United for Palestine Equality and Return, Super UW, which claimed it was behind the takeover, all activists who entered the engineering building were arrested. About 30 activists have been arrested in total of this reporting. The group vandalized property, started dumpster fire, which is true, but they also started a fire in the streets where they were burning furniture in the streets, which is also important. According to the independent journalist on the ground, while Seattle police officers have ordered their disposal, by the way, those police officers and securities retreated. And then when they had public backlash, they then unretreated and went back and started making arrests. University of Washington ablaze. This was a tweet from Cam Higbee. I'm on campus now, and Antifa has started a dumpster fire at the University of Washington. This is a barrier that divides the encampment from the police who are lined up. Another one, breaking now. Black-clad mass activists have taken over the brand new interdisciplinary engineering building and are piling furniture outside to blockade it. So some of those who were arrested were injured during the process and required medical attention. The intended purpose was launch this takeover, the Super UW, which is basically this Antifa group against Palestine. I mean, for Palestine. I'm sorry, against the Palestine genocide. And I'll call it a Palestine genocide. I have no problem calling it that. It doesn't make me anti-Jewish. It doesn't make me pro-Antifa. But I'm not exactly happy with what's going on in Gaza.
They called themselves the Super UW.
The Super UW launched this takeover to make University of Washington sever its ties with Boeing as the war in Gaza continues. The organization wants the university to stop receiving any funds or donations from Boeing. Boeing donated approximately $10 million for the construction of the $90 million new engineering building. Again, this is all coming because people want to be mad at something. These activists are nothing but virtue signalers. They're too coward to actually go and try to produce any good. They can just create anarchy because it's easy and it doesn't take a lot of critical thinking. And it's throwing darts at a dartboard without actually learning the art or skill of throwing darts or bowling, whatever you want to use it to. So now let's put this into perspective here. So federal money, where do you think the federal money comes from? Where does federal money come from? Anybody in the chats or Jason, where do you think the federal government gets its money?
All of us.
Taxes, your tax dollars, correct? And your tax dollars are going to build research engineering labs on college campuses to do what for you? Make your life what? Help me out. Thank you, Bosco. Taxes. Tyler, taxes. Yes. And what are those? Why does the federal government feel the need to fund research facilities at public universities? To make your life what? As a citizen?
Supposedly better.
Better, right? Better health, better technology, whatever, right? So that's why the federal government thinks it's important to make sure that everybody has a fair and equal opportunity to education, to scholarships, and everything, right? So your money going to the federal government to build these things. And then Antifa goes in there and takes all that furniture. Now, who's making that? How much is that furniture? You think that furniture is fair price or grossly overpriced since it's being used by federal tax dollars?
Grossly overpriced.
Right. Grossly overpriced, right? Like a bench is $60,000. We know that a bench doesn't cost $60,000, but when you are lobbying for the architect to design the bench and he's going to get your votes and he's going to donate money to your thing, then you're going to get him the job. You're going to get all the lobbying that goes into it, right? So we've paid for all this out of your tax dollars for education that's supposed to make our lives better. And then you provide zero security at your college campus and you celebrate and you don't punish students who openly create this type of chaos. And then they go out and they take this grossly overpriced furniture. They light it all on fire. They take over your entire $50 million+ building that was funded through donors, millionaires, and federal grant money, millions and millions of dollars of federal grant money. They have just so why are we paying taxes to have buildings built if you're not going to protect our money? I just lost, you just lost however much money in tax dollars that we gave so that some assholes undisputedly can walk into the building without any kind of security, without any kind of punishment of being expelled or anything, without any fear of consequence, can go in there and Why are we giving you money then? If that's what's going to happen to the money we give you, why are we building you these facilities? If you cannot protect the facilities, why are we paying tax? You can't hire more security campus police. Why should I give you money that you cannot protect?
Yeah, exactly. And people wonder, they wonder why. I mean, I can't believe Orange Man's going to cut off funding for colleges. Orange Man.
I don't want to pay taxes. I don't want to pay taxes if you're going to use my tax dollars on gain of function research. By the way, again, if you're not going to listen, this is a hard pill to swallow, but the evidence is out. We could do a whole episode on this. And if you're a critical thinker, go find it for yourself. But the evidence is out. The gain of function research, the Wuhan lab, and all of the research and development that went into the COVID virus came from the University of North Carolina. That's not where I want my tax dollars going, to that kind of bullshit. If you're going to waste my tax dollars on gender studies that do not make my life personally better, I don't want to give you my tax dollars. I don't agree with your gender studies. I don't care about your gender studies. They don't make my life better. I give you money and I want it because I want to have better energy. I want to have cleaner energy. I want to have cars that can go further for less. I want real solutions to inner city problems like Baltimore. I want real solutions to problems that we face on a day-to-day that actually make my life like that are inconveniences to my life. I want cancer treatment research. I don't want my tax dollars being wasted on another gender study. Why don't we study why people rally around gang members but rally against Nazis? Like, what's the difference between a neo-Nazi in America, a modern day neo-Nazi, and a gang member? Aside from the gang members kill hundreds and thousands of more people in the not hundreds of thousands, but like easily thousands of more people. 1,000%. How about that? 1,000% more people. If you look at the percentage, you know what I'm saying? Does that, you know what I'm saying? For every one neo-Nazi in America that's committed murder, there's probably been 1,000 gang members that have committed murder.
I think that's a very, very easy stat to justify.
So if we jump over to this Harvard ordeal, we have one of the billionaire techs, one of the bigger billionaires who graduated from Harvard, who is one of the oldest, the richest, eldest man. So I guess like richest for his age, I guess. The education department, this is coming from New York Post. The education department informed Harvard on Monday that it was freezing billions of dollars in future research grants and other aid until the university concedes to a number of demands from the Trump administration, a senior department official said. Harvard responded that an administration letter doubles down on demands that would impose unprecedented and improper control over the university and makes new threats to illegally withhold funding for life-saving research. So I think it's funny that previous administrations will give you money on a tit for tat, but if another administration takes that tit for tat away, all of a sudden it's unprecedented. Let me give you an example, and let me see if you think this is right. Hopefully you're still with me in the chats. Good say. I hope I haven't scared you away. I flipped the script, but let me ask you this quick question: If the federal government comes to a police department, true story, and tells them that, hey, if you start a community policing squad that goes by the Obama's Pillars of Policing, which is real, Google it, Obama's Pillars of Policing. If you will adopt Obama's Pillars of Policing and you will put these policies into effect, and you will have not only will you have internal affairs, but you'll have an inspections unit and you'll do these types of inspections, then we will grant you a DUI squad and we will give you all the cars and we will pay the salaries of your DUI squad to go out and find DUIs. Okay, that's great. So now we implement a few rules, Obama's Pillars of Policing. Now, imagine it's Obama, so it sounds good, right? Because you're on the side of Obama. That's your president. Let's flip the script. Trump says, I want you to enact these types of the Trump's Pillars of Policing. And if you do that, I will give you millions of dollars to create a DUI squad. The department says, thank you, Mr. Trump. We're going to create the Trump's Pillars of Policing. And then they do that. And then he gives millions of dollars to a DUI squad. And then guess what? The DUI squad is ramped up. They're awesome. They now have the means to drive down DUIs by 60%, 70%. And so now DUIs is no longer a problem in your city because of this well-funded DUI squad. But then your department says, we cannot justify having a DUI squad and we cannot justify your squad because you guys aren't giving enough DUIs. And we want to keep this grant money coming. We need you to go find more DUIs. Mm-hmm. Now corruption comes into play because now you don't want to lose your job, but you can't find somebody with DUIs. So you start having to try to create a problem that doesn't exist.
Yep, you're faking them.
Or faking them. Or instead of erring on the side of caution, you'd be like, oh, well, maybe they're playing on their cell phone or maybe they're completely hammered. Oh, but they passed all their DUI tests, but maybe it's drugs. And so we see this uptick in people going to jail and they don't have the evidence that proves that they were drunk driving. You see where the federal grant money comes into play? Oh, and so if we say, hey, if you enact these Biden pillars of gender studies, we're going to grant you enough money to do this kind of study. But if the American people voted against gender studies and gender equality, and we see this because the military is now getting rid of the transgender, the Supreme Court has ruled in favor of getting rid of transgender from the military. Like the American people, we don't want your gender studies. We don't care. If you suffer from a mental issue that gender confuses you, that is a less than 1% issue. Most of us don't know somebody going through that. And that we all have mental issues that we have to deal with. They can deal with it on their own. The man that's addicted to porn doesn't get to go and watch porn and jerk off at the park because that turns him on without any repercussions. The kid that the impulsive 3-year-old that wants to stick a key in the light socket doesn't get to stick a key in the light socket because he was born wanting to stick a key in the key socket. Okay.
Absolutely.
We've all voted against this. And so what does the government, why should we not say, or what right does Harvard have to say that these are life-saving medical procedures that are not going to be, no. What he's saying is that you're going to play by our rules now. We played by your rules and now it's our turn. That's the reality of it.
Yeah. And they're bullshit because they froze 2.2 billion, I think is the number that I'm reading.
Mm-hmm.
And another 1 billion in grants that they're potentially going to freeze because you're not doing what you're saying you're doing. That's one of the big problems is they're not doing exactly what they're saying they're doing. And to your point, the gender state, nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Right.
That money
And
could be spent very, very differently and much, much more beneficial.
And you understand that, like, the billionaires that are donating, the millionaires, the billionaires, whatever, that are donating to Harvard, they're not happy either. Imagine you being an alumni of University of Washington, and they're going to bring this beautiful state-of-the-art engineering building where they are going to perfect jet engines, make jet flight safer. And you're like, man, I'm going to take $5 million of my hard-earned dollars and I'm going to donate it to this program. Only to find out that $4 million or $5 million of damage was done by Antifa because your school security couldn't donate $1 million into security into securing that building. Or they knew that these guys were planning this. They allowed them to hang up the flyers on the school campus, which doesn't cost them anything to tear down.
Right.
They punished the kids who tore down the flyers. And you're like, why do I want to donate my $5 million to you? So when these boards get together, all these bright minds, they're like, President Trump, do something. Like, we want to give money to Harvard. We want to see Boeing be successful. We want safer flights, but we're not going to give any money to these idiots if they can do it. And we don't have any say in it.
Yeah,
and we also donated to you. You know what I'm,
if there's no accountability for the money, then why, it's like me or you. If I donate to a cause, and I realize that cause is not putting that money where it says it's going to go, I'm not donating to that cause anymore because it's mismanagement of funds. This is just a different mismanagement. And the fact that they're allowing property to be destroyed that is going to have to be replaced.
I'm not donating tax dollars to a fire department that says it's too dangerous to fight the fire, let the house burn to the ground, and then right. we'll write it up later. Well, then why am I paying all these firefighters?
Exactly.
If you're not going to go and fight the fire, why am I paying you?
Mm-hmm.
If you're just going to I can just let my house burn down.
Right. I can do that myself.
You know what I mean? But
it's a good analogy, though.
I know that's a hyperbolic, but that's the way policing is doing. What you're telling police is don't go and deal with the people who have mental issues. Just let them work their mental issues out. Well, then why am I paying the cop's salary? I can just let that happen on my own, and then save a couple of tax dollars. I don't know. I kind of derailed today's show. But then it also goes back. The media, continues to go. And I'll just bring up this one last one because I think this is going to be just a fun little video. Actually, good thing that we did derail because it looks like I did not save. Yes, I did. I saved it right here. It's been so long since I saved it. I don't know where I saved it to. So here we go with CNN. Again, mainstream media, just doing a terrible job at any kind of journalism. And I know people get mad at me and they say, well, Eric, that's not fair that these journalists, they go to college, they work very hard, and they really care. No, they don't. No, they don't, because they wouldn't put out shit like this.
So we've just entered an area of the city that is still very dangerous. After weeks of trying, our contact here on the ground has managed to secure a meeting with a member of the cartel who's involved apparently in the production of drugs. ¿Cómo estás? This man is talking to us on the condition we hide his identity and location. Can I pull up a chair? He says he produces fentanyl for the Sinaloa cartel. How safe or dangerous is this area to be in?
En estos momentos todas las áreas son peligrosas.
Right now,
according to the Trump administration, you are a terrorist. I mean, the cartels have been labeled a foreign terrorist organization. What do you make of that?
Está fea la situación.
The situation is ugly. But we have to wait.
What's your message to Donald Trump if he's watching this?
My respect. According to him, he's looking out.
Para los suyos. Pero el detalle que ya están
los
consumidores.
Si
no hubiera consumidores, no le pararan.
There is a lot of violence playing out on these streets here at the moment every day, right? I mean, people are dying on a daily basis. Children are afraid to go to school. Do you have any sense of remorse over your role and your involvement in this group?
Claro que sí. Claro que sí. Pues está triste la cosa, pero...
Things are sad, but... Well,
está triste la cosa, pero...
So I know I'm doing wrong. I know that I'm not a part of the solution. I've just decided to profit off the problem. And it really appears that CNN is again trying to make a Robin Hood out of him with the tone. And by the way, they set the tone with using the color of the thing, the darkness, the feel, how they do the lighting. Everything in here leads to that this guy is some kind of a Robin Hood stealing from the poor. And she immediately goes to, Trump's calling you a terrorist. What do you think of that? The whole conversation here should be the amount of chaos and how many people are dying at the hands of drug cartels. He just admitted to you that he's producing fentanyl. The number one killer in America right now is fentanyl.
And he's admitting that he knows exactly what he's doing, but he pretty much said it is what it is.
And I love how he turned it back on her and he's like, my respect to Trump. My respect. Like, he's protecting his people. I would too. If you were releasing snakes into my nursery where the children, if I had a church and there was a nursery and there was a group of people dropping snakes in the nursery, I would fucking call them terrorists and I'd go after them. And I would argue that fentanyl is as dangerous as a snake. Like, you can only play with a snake so many times before it's going to bite and kill you. You can only do fentanyl so many times before it's going to kill you.
Absolutely.
Show me the difference. But again, here we have mainstream media trying to prop up crime. Let me ask you this. We'll end it on this. Let me ask you this, Jason. What is in the last 3 years? Maybe it's more than that now. I'll say it all started during Michael Brown, really, however long Michael Brown was. What is the Democrats' obsession with the bad guy? Who's defending the cartels? Democrats. Who's defending gang members? Democrats. Who's defending people stealing cars and committing crimes in communities? Who's defending Antifa? Who's defending Gaza, who attacked Israel? I mean, listen, I'm not saying, at the end of the day, I'm not saying that what Israel is doing to Gaza is right at all. But like, the reason why it's gotten so bad is because nobody was even holding Gaza accountable or the Palestinians accountable for any of the terroristic shit that they've been doing for years and years and years. Maybe if you really cared, you would have been, trying to get involved with the Palestinians abusing their power and oppressing their people and trying to commit, and trying to create religious genocides on the Jews. You know what I mean? If I don't want a pit bull to attack my kids, maybe you tell your kid to stop smacking the pit bull with a broomstick. But when the pit bull goes and rips your kid's face off, you can't be all that mad at the pit bull at the end of the day.
Right. And it goes back to what I said earlier. Yeah, the left and the Democrats, they want to hold you down because they're going to be your savior. But they want those votes. They want, they want those key players in place. But it's all, all it is a money grab. I mean, when you really break it down, it's a money grab and a power grab.
And Daniel Penny, in the Daniel Penny case, who is the bad guy for the Democrats? Daniel Penny.
Right.
Who was the bad guy in the Breonna Taylor case? Sergeant Mattingly. Kyle Rittenhouse. That was your bad guy. Not the pedos, not the 3 white pedos that were destroying a city.
Exactly.
In the name of Black Lives Matter, who were the ones being a problem, right? And I love how the Democrats say, well, it's the bad eggs that are out there making us look bad in these protests. It's the implants. It's Republican implants that are making the protests seem violent. So when a Trump guy kills one of the people that are making your protest violent, all of a sudden it's a Trump guy kills 3 innocent people. Like, that doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense at all. Maggie May says Trump is a pedo. He very may well be. I mean, we know Biden probably was. I mean, we know that like half of Hollywood is. Shit, they probably all are.
Right.
Like, cool claim, Maggie. Like, you're on the wrong network, girl. We're not disagreeing with you. That's the point. All the scumbags at CNN and I wouldn't let any of the main producers of Fox News, CNN, the Democrat Party or the Republican Party, politician of any kind, watch my kids. I wouldn't let a Clinton near my kids. If I had the option to let a lion babysit my kids, a pit bull babysit my kids, or the Clintons, I'd pick the fucking pit bull every time. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, how else do you want me to respond? I'm not going to fight with you on that, Maggie.
Well, then, yeah, you've got all the major news networks. You've got Matt Lauer, who got fired for being a pervert. So yeah, there's shitty people everywhere. You're never going to get away from them.
I mean,
Greg,
yeah, I don't know.
He came out swinging with the pit.
Yeah, right. Great job. Like, oh, all right, cool. Like, yeah, nobody's disagreeing with that. So now, like, Maggie, let me ask you this: what's your feelings on Chuck E. Cheese gate? You know what I mean? Like, that's what's so funny to me is that, like, you mentioned Chuck E. Cheese gate, and everybody's like, "You're a conspiracy theorist. You're a far right wing extremist," and you're like, "No. I mean, Trump could have been involved in Chuck E. Cheese gate too. Like, I'm full on that. All these fucking dudes are in on some crazy shit."
Right.
You know, I like, listen, the Podesta emails need to be fucking, you need to investigate those. But your argument is, well, Trump's a pedo too. Yeah, sure. Well, like, you realize if we open up the investigation, that could prove your point, right? Like, come on now. So I'll get on the same team. Please.
Why is it so divisive?
I'm not arguing with you. Yeah, and I have to vote for one pedo or the other. It's like we're all fucked anyway. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I'm just gonna try to vote for the one that doesn't look like World War III is gonna happen right this second. Like, I don't know. Yes, release the Epstein files for sure. Let's go. Lock them all up. Start over. Start fresh.
Yeah. Control Alt Delete.
Yeah, like, we went from the Democrats being obsessed with Bush's conspiracy theory against weapons of mass destruction that 9/11 was an inside job to the Democrats now being like, Trump's a pedo and you're crazy if you think 9/11 was an inside job and the government did not kill John F. Kennedy and RFK is a bad guy. Like, how did the Kennedy, like, how all of a sudden did the Democrats rally up against it? When the Democrats said that the vice president for George Bush was like their main guy running Dick Cheney, when Dick Cheney endorsed Kamala Harris and the right celebrated that and made it mainstream media, that's when I knew the Democrats were lost. That's when I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, like, there's no coming back from that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, when you are now a Dick Cheney fan, like the guy who created like the TSA, the guy who could, like, all the stuff that went behind Guantanamo Bay, all the stuff between what was happening with Julian Assange and all those things, like all of the big key items that Democrats were fighting George Bush about. And now you guys are all like, yeah. Mainstream media has won at that point. And that's why we have FAWKES News with a different perspective. They're like, no, I want you to be wrong. Like, I want to believe in Fox News and CNN. Like, you're the asshole for exposing all of this. How dare you?
You son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch for looking at things outside of what the government's telling you to learn. Obey the government. Punk rock forever. Anti-Nazi. Hail Snoop Dogg, leader of the Crips. I make it make sense, Jason.
Oh my God, I can't. My fucking belly hurts there from giggling.
Make this world make sense to me. Jason, what do you guys got coming up next? I have an important meeting in the next 30 minutes, but what do you have coming up next? And one more and I'm out of here.
We're going live today at 4:30 Eastern. And then I believe John and I are going to be doing Illegal Shift on Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern.
Good. Thank God I have Factor Meals, by the way. Promo code Wolfpack50 because I don't have time to go make lunch. In the next 30 minutes, I'm going to run inside. I'm going to grab one of my chef-prepared, fresh and never frozen meals right out of the refrigerator. I do the protein heavy so I can get jacked and swole, pop a swolio over here. I'm not on testosterone. I'm not on anything else. I'm on a high-protein diet, folks. That's all I'm on. I'm not saying that you should be on a You want to go vegan? Go for it. You want to go keto? Go for it. Factor Meals has all of those options. You don't have to be against it. You can't be like, I like to see on the internet, they're like, oh, those far right-wing extremists and their protein-heavy diets were like, listen, I've done keto, I've done protein-heavy, I've gone full vegetarian. I fit my diet to fit my needs at that time. And Factor Meals has a diet for me, whatever I'm on. If I'm calorie conscious, I can go calorie conscious. If I'm protein-heavy, I can go protein-heavy. All the things that I need comes out of Factor Meals. I don't have to worry about going to the grocery store, meal planning, picking it out, separating my shrimps from my green beans. And I have to, no, they do it all for me, put it together. If I forget to order, I get another order. I get the same order again on Tuesday. It's all great. Love it. Head over to factormeals.com/Wolfpack50OFF. That's Wolfpack50 off. Felony Melanie. was able to get on NetGalley and request an advanced reader copy of my book. She read the book and left me a wonderful review. You can go to Goodreads. You don't even have to log in, but you can go to Goodreads and you can type in Pig Latin and you can see Felony Melanie's review of my book as well as some of the other reviews. Book drops to shelves August 26th. I have a very exciting meeting about my book, but it's not about my book release. It's about something else that's happening with the book. I have that meeting here at noon. I can't wait to share all that information with you guys. I will have a TANSEY time probably tonight that'll go up on our Patreon account. If you're not subscribed to our Patreon account, we have tons of new content from Santana True Crime, which is our newest big podcast. Santana working with our own other fan, Abby Ellsworth. Some other stuff going down on the network as well with Santana True Crime. Our free Holtzclaw podcast is up and going on Spotify. Looks like Apple has no love for our free Holtzclaw podcast. We're still trying to figure out what's going on with that. So right now it's on Spotify, which means we need all of you to support our free Holtzclaw project by going to Spotify, listening to each episode on the free Holtzclaw podcast and giving it a 5-star rating and review, and let them know that we do care about somebody who's been wrongfully imprisoned for 263 years. Daniel Holtzclaw is guilty of only being a white Christian male police officer. That's what he's guilty of being, and it's pretty obvious, and we lay the evidence out before you every single week for the next year. That's how in-depth and crazy his case is. It's a one-of-a-kind case. And if you're into true crime, even if you think he's guilty, we'd love to know why you think he's guilty, though. I'd like to know the evidence, because last thing I want to do is advocate for a guy that should be guilty. And if I'm missing something, if I'm missing part of the perspective here, then I need you to dial me back in. Maybe I missed something. But after 6 years of diving into this case and hundreds of hours of exploration and watching every bit of testimony or watching all of the interviews, I decided to compile it all together to maybe help me. All I have is evidence that shows he's not guilty, but there's not one shred of evidence that shows he's guilty of anything. And I'd love to have you guys' help on that. Go over to the Free Holtzclaw Project podcast and like and subscribe to that, please. But if you really are into true crime, this is a fascinating case. It really is a one-of-a-kind case. And literally, he's guilty because he's a white Christian male. And all of those things were used against him. And that was really the whole basis of the whole entire case by the defense, is that he's a white Christian male. And it's mind-boggling, but the way they retarded the jury, it worked, right? And the way the media portrayed every little bit of the story, it worked. So please go over to Free Holtzclaw Project. It's not on YouTube. It's just podcast. For everybody that was in the live chats today, I'm sorry I only got to focus on one person who bailed on us early, but now you can folk around and find out. Tyler S., Murph 530, Felony Melanie, who else do we have up in here towards the top? Let me just go Focus Squad. Maggie May coming in here for the very first time. Bone Cold Fleece Austin, Corn Pop. The list goes on. Let me just keep scrolling up. Loren, Greg LaMontagne from the Bars Open with Beth and Greg. By the way, that's all the fun, flirty news. Head over to the Bars Open with Beth and Greg. Can't wait to meet up with them this summer. That's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, Flip the Script, Cupcakes and Cameo, but Flip the Script made it real fun for us today. And that's the kind of people we want to get in here. Not trying to scare any guys off. We want to keep you around, and we want other free thinkers. And I don't mind the pushback. I enjoy seeing that. It looks like Greg LaMontagne with the Bars Open, Beth and Greg, is live tonight. So hopefully we'll see everybody there tonight.
I think we're going to try to get something together with Greg and Beth and me and Jill.
Dude, what a great opportunity, because you guys do news. They do news. They do fun and flirty news, but you guys often do different guy. That would be a really cool collab episode.
I figured
that would be something we could. Let's plan that out for something fun, like on like a fun day off, like where everybody, like maybe like Memorial Day, Veterans Day, or something like that. And then let's promote the fucking hell out of it. And then I will be in the live chats, and you guys can do like one more and I'm out of here, Bars Open with Beth and Greg collab show.
I think it'd be fun.
Wow, that would be something to plan out and then like promote.
Yep.
Oh, that would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. Let's make that happen. Somebody make that happen. Thank you guys all so much for being a part of all of the private YouTube, Facebook groups that we have. It means a lot to us. FTS_Wolfpack is the private Facebook group. You can go in there, be a free thinker, and it's just a fun, loving family. They've got little fitness groups going on in there, all sorts of meetups happening. We like to see that community growing. If you're part of that, that's on the Failure to Stops, FTS_Wolfpack. Of course, the Discord's always kind of been bumping up. There's going to be a lot coming out on the Discords. I'm going to have all of the bookmarks for those who bought the book early. Those will all be going out here very, very soon. And we just appreciate every single one of you guys. Thank you for all that you do. G.I. Joe says the best. Maybe you didn't know about Harvard being defunded. Maybe you didn't know about Antifa coming back. Maybe you didn't know about CNN wanting to create diversity and rallying around some kind of Mexican fentanyl dealer. But now you do know, and knowing is half the battle. See you guys soon.